Hi everyone, I am Sreekanth. We are discussing about programming in C language. The today's topic is about algorithms. Today's agenda of the session is about structured programming concepts like top-down analysis, modular programming, and structured code. Also, we discussed in detail about non-structured programming, and also we'll discuss program development life cycle, right? Programming process, general programming processes, okay, and suitable examples. See, what is structured programming? Structured programming, it improves the clarity, quality, and development time of a computer program. Structured programming always provides what? Better way to program, systematic organization. Structured programming is a programming paradigm. Like a systematic way to organize programs are called structured programming. Structured programming is a programming paradigm aimed at improving the clarity, quality, and development time of a computer program by making extensive use of structured control flow controls of selections like various conditional statements like if, then, else, and repetition or looping statements like while loop and for loop, blocked structures, and subroutines. See, it emerged in the late 1950s with the appearance of the ALGOL 58 and ALGOL 60 programming languages. The main intention for using structured programming, say, avoid this go-to statement, because this go-to statement makes are considered what? Harmful in the programming language, because this go-to statement behaves like what? Unstructured in the programming. In 1968, by Dutch computer scientist Erger Dijkster, who coined the term structured programming. See, the main definition of structured programming, see, generally they don't have exactly direct definition of structured programming, but it defines normally it is the method of writing a computer program that uses like top-down analysis, modularization, structured codes. Top-down analysis for program solving, modularization for program structure and organization, structured code for the individual models. See, organizations using structured programming like programming productivity, program economy, program simplicity. Program productivity, programmers write more program statements per day with a few errors. Program economy is nothing but the cost and time of program development and maintenance are reduced. Program simplicity means programs are easier to read, write, correct, and maintain operations. Structured programming has been called a revolution in programming and one of the most important advances in computer software of the past decades. So the main intention for using structured programming for improving the clarity, quality, and development time of a computer program. See, generally the structured program looks like ask the user for text input, receive user text input, process the user input, and it returns what? Results to the user. This structured programming again categorized by what? Majorly three parts. One is called top-down analysis, modular programming, and structured code. Remember, C is also comes under what? C is a structured programming language. Okay. See, what are the common elements is going to be used in the structured programming? One is called control structures, another called subroutines, another one called blocks. What is control structure? It again categorizes like sequence, ordered statements or subroutines executed in a sequential manner. Selection, one or a number of statements is executed depending on the state of the program. This is usually expressed with keywords such as if, then, else, and if. The conditional statement should have at least one true condition and each condition should have one exit point at max. Iterations like looping. A statement or block is executed until the program reaches a certain state or operations have been applied to every element of a collection. This is usually expressed with keywords such as while loop, repeat, for loop, do until. Often it is recommended that each loop should only have one entry point. Next, recursion. A statement is executed by repeatedly calling itself until termination conditions are met. That is recursion. While similar in practices to iterative loops, recursive loops may be more like computationally efficient and are implemented differently as a cascading stack. Remember, the main intention for using structured programming, avoid that go-to usage in the programming level, because go-to behaves like what? Unstructured programming. For that overcome, they are implemented structured programming. They given more concepts in the control structures like sequence statement, selection statement, like if conditions, if else, nested if else. Okay, and iterations like looping statements like while loop, repeat loop, do until loop, for loop, like that. Recursion, the statement is going to be, or that a statement is executed by repeatedly calling itself until particular termination conditions are met. So this is about control structures. We'll discuss in detail with the help of programs in C programming. We'll discuss in detail about control structures, but try to understand the concept. Structure programming consists of elements like control structures. Next one, subroutines. These callable units such as procedures, functions, methods, or subprograms are used to allow a sequence to be referred to by a single statement. Okay, next, blocks. Blocks are used to enable group of statements to be treated as if they were one statement. See, C supports this block of statement. Remember, while writing any code in the C block, see, we are going to be writing within open and closed flower braces. Okay, see, all these codes are enclosed with these blocks. Generally we can call it is blocks, opening flower braces and closed flower braces. You can able say, simply we can call it is curly braces. See, in previous like algal 68, they used if I, or a code section bracket by begin and end. But coming to the Python does not consist block level. Python uses what? White space indentation for opening and closing. But coming to the C programming language, we are using what? Curly braces. Block levels are used for groups of statements to be treated as if they were one statement. Okay, so C is a structural programming language. C, this structural programming language supports like control structures, subroutines, blocks. C also supports these concepts like sequence, selections, iterations, recursions, subroutines like functions, and blocks, especially used for what? Curly braces. See, generally these structured programming, like the main problem is going to be divided into sub problems. Again, the sub problem is divided into sub problems, sub problems. Like that, it going to be divided what? Main problem into sub problems in structured programming languages. Okay, these are all the common elements used in structured programming like control structures, subroutines, and blocks. In the structured programming, the first way you can achieve like a top-down analysis. See, what is a top-down analysis? Like top-down and bottom-up are both strategies of information processing and knowledge ordering, used in a variety of fields including software, humanistics, and scientific theories, and management and organization. In practices, they can be seen as a style of thinking, teaching, or leadership. A top-down approach is essential, the breaking down of a system to gain insight into its compositional subsystems in a reverse engineering fashion. In a top-down approach, an overview of the system is formulated, specifying but not detailing any first-level subsystem. Each subsystem is then refined in at greater detail, sometimes in many additional subsystem levels, until the entire specification is reduced to base elements. Top-down analysis simplifies or reduces the complexity of the progress of problem solving. It is not limited by the type of a program. Top-down analysis is a general method for attacking any problem. See, these there are two essential ideas in a top level or top down analysis. Is subdivision of a problem. Subdivision of a problem. Another one is called hierarchy of task. Subdivision of a problem means simply breaking a big problem into what? two or more smaller problems. Like system is going to be divided by programs. Like again program is divided by what? Modules. Again this module is divided by what? Sub modules. Subdivision of a problem is simply breaking a big problem or large volume of problem into what? Two or more smaller problems. To solve the big problem, first these small problems have to be solved. Okay. Second one is hierarchy of task. The method of top-down analysis does not simplify, divide a problem into two or more smaller problems. It goes further than that. Each of these smaller problems is further subdivided. This process continues downward from one level to another level until no further breakdown is possible. This is about what? Hierarchy of tasks. The main advantage of top-down analysis is what? Reduce the problem solving complexities. So I can give the simple example you may understand. Always remember, for any programming language, execution is going to be starts with the one function. That function is called main function. Just remember it. Okay, in the coming sessions I will explain in detail about this function. Just we understood, this structured programming is going to be enclose the group of statement as a single statement with the help of curly braces. Okay, so this is about curly braces. Assume this is the one function. From this main function is the main problem. Assume it. From here I am going to be dividing several sub problems in the help of like functions. Okay, assume I want to perform some arithmetic operators. Assume, okay, arithmetic operators consist what? Addition. Okay, I'm making this is a separate function like addition function. This function or this is a sub problem from the main problem. Main problem is what? Arithmetic operator. From there I'm going to be divided a what? Sub problem called addition. Similarly I can divide it what? Another problem called subtraction. Like this function can perform only what? Addition function can perform only addition operation. Correct? Addition operation. This function. Subtraction function can perform only what? Subtraction operation. Like multiplication function. Okay, like a division function, like several sub problems we can able to write elaborately. Instead of writing all these things in the main function, we can divide the main problem into what? Sub problem, subdivision of a problems in the form of what? Functions in the programming language. Simply you can remember the main problem. Assume this is a main problem. In this main problem is going to be again divided into what? Several sub problems in the form of what? Functions, like function 1, function 2, function 3, and so on. Later all these functions are going to be monitored from the main function. This type of functions are called subdivision of a problem. Okay, see this is about top down analysis. Remember, C is also follows what? Top down analysis approach. The top down analysis consists of some steps. What are the steps or the activity for performing a top down analysis of a problem can be summarized in what? Majorly 4 steps, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Step 1, define the complete scope of a problem to determine the basic requirements for its solution. 3 factors must be considered in the definition of a programming problem: input, calculation, and output. Remember, in the step 1 it's going to be majorly 3 factors: consist, input, process, output. Input means what data will need to be processed by the program. Process, what must be done with the input data, what type of processing is required. Output, what information should the program produce, in what form should it be presented. See, that is done by what? Step 1. In the previous video session also explained in detail about in the algorithms like declaration, initialization, it comes under what? Input part. After that, processing, some calculation is going to be done, that it comes under what? Processing. After that, what? Output means generating what? Reliable the processed information and what type of format it should be required. This is what explained in the top-down analysis first step, defining the complete scope of a problem to determine the basic requirements for its solution. It consists major 3 categories like input, process, output. Simply can remember 3 major factors. Coming to the step 2, based on the definition of the problem, divide it into what? 2 or more separate parts. Okay, that is comes under what? Step 2, division of a problem. I told you main problem is going to be divided into sub problems. Okay, main system problem is divided into sub problems like program 1, program 2, so on. Like step 3, Carefully define the scope of each of these separate tasks and subdivide them, if necessary, into two or more further smaller tasks. Again, we are going to be divided into sub divided modules, or modules are going to be divided, or sub programs are going to be divided. This is about step 3. Define the scope of each part and divide it into what? Number of tasks. Last step, repeat step 3. Every step at the lowest level describes a simple task which cannot be broken further. See, this type of approach is called top-down analysis. In top-down analysis is a method of what? Problem solving and problem analysis. The essential idea is to subdivide a larger problem into what? Several smaller tasks. Simply can remember, simplifying a problem solving and problem analysis from what? Bigger or larger problem into several smaller tasks. The main ideas is nothing but subdivision of a problem, hierarchy of a task. This is the 4 steps involved for solving a larger problem into smaller tasks. That is done by what? Top down analysis. Okay, so this is one of the solution of structured programming. The second one, modular programming. See, what is a modular programming? Modular programming is a process of subdividing a computer program into separate sub programs. A module is a separate software component. It can often be used in a variety of applications and functions with other components of the system. Similar functions are grouped in the same unit of programming code, and separate functions are developed as separate unit of code so that the code can be reused by other applications. Object oriented programming is compatible with the modular programming concept to a large extent. Modular programming enables multiple programmers to divide up the work and debug piece of the program independently. See, simply I can tell here some problem in the top down analysis. These sub problems and the tasks should be monitored by what? Main problem or main program. But coming to modular programming, it clearly is going to be separated, like program. Here main program is there, here module 1 dot header information or programming information. Like module 2 consists header information, programming information. Module 3 consists header and programming information. Whenever we required, we can import that module to the particular programming. It helps to providing a solution in that particular module. So it is, the dependency is going to be divided, and each module is what? Separate software component. See, is divided into what? Logical independent small sections. See, which can be written what? Separately. These sections being what? Separate and independent units are called what? Modules. Like they are going to be clearly separated. Each modules, module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4, like that. Okay, there is no any interdependencies. Whenever we require the particular module, we can use it in the particular program. Modular programming is a software design technique that emphasizes what? Separating the functionality of a program into what? Independent, interchangeable modules, such that each contains everything necessary to execute only one aspect of the desired functionality. These modular programming generally implemented in what? High level programming languages like what? Java, Python. There, especially these modular programmings are going to be using. Okay, example I can tell, like in Java, like packages. I can give a simple example because people are maybe afraid about these terminologies like packages, modules, and like that. Suppose I want to perform mathematical related operations, right? See, math module is there, or math package is there in the high level programming language. It consists all built-in functionalities of math, like square root of the given value. I want to find square root. You no need to write logic, like power functions. Okay, like power functions, seal functions, like whatever the mathematical related, trigonometric related functions like sine, cos, tan, so on, you no need to implement. And these functions are not dependent of the particular programming. When you required, when you want to perform these mathematical related operations, just import or include in your math model into our program. Got it? Say example, like in Java 9 onwards, new module concept is going to be implemented, especially Python. Python, a package is a collection of what? Modules. In Python, everything is going to be what? Modules only. What module you require, just you can add that module into the program and use it. Like that, completely this modular programming is going to be using in the high level programming languages. See, this modular programming is what? Is the process of subdividing a computer program into what? Separate sub programs. Whenever we require, we can use that particular module into the particular programming. The main advantage, it leads to reusable code. Debugging is what? Very easy. Like there is no any interdependency from the main to modules, not required to call. If you required, just import that module, use it in the particular program. See, that is the advantage for what? Modular programming. The benefits of using modular programming includes like less code has to be written. A single procedure can be developed for reuse, eliminating the need to retype the code many times. Programs can be designed more easily because a small team deals with only a small part of the entire code. Modular programming allows many programmers to collaborate on the same application. Like parallel is also possible in what? Modular programming. The code is stored across multiple files. Code is short, simple, and easy to understand. Errors can easily identified as they are localized to subroutines or functions. The same code can be used in many applications. The scoping of variable can easily be controlled. See, this is the main advantage for what? Modular programming. But coming to C language, that C language is going to be supports up to what? Subroutines like functions. But C++ also supports up to what? Functions. But if you go with the Java, Python, it supports completely about this modular programming. For that sake, I told you, object-oriented programming is compatible with the modular programming concept to a large extent. Modular programming enables what? Multiple programmers to divide up the work and debug piece of the program independently. See, this is also what? Structured programming. Okay, modular programming also comes under what? Structured programming. See, the third type is called structured coding, structured programming. See, after top-down analysis and modular structure, the third and final aspect of structured programming involves the use of structured code. Structured programming is a method of coding, writing a program that produces what? Well-organized module. A high-level language supports several control statements, also called structured control statements or structured code, to produce a well-organized structured module. These control statements represent conditional and repetitive type of executions. Each language has different syntax of these statements. Okay, so up to here you can remember. See, we are using structured programming concept in the C language. Further, so we can call C is a structural programming because we are eliminating, not completely eliminated go to statement in C language. We can use it, but maximum extent of go to statement is eliminated in what? Structured programming. In C++, up to C language, C++, we can use little bit of go to statement, but if you go with the Java, .NET, PHP, Python, complete go to statement is eliminated because it is harmful to the particular functionality of the programming language. In the structured programming, we can achieve through what? Top-down analysis, modular programming, and a structured code. Okay, like it is consists control structure, subroutines, and blocks instead of depending completely go to statements. Okay, so this is about top-down analysis. The top-down analysis, problem solving, and problem analysis is going to be simplified. Modular programming, it completely divides the modules independently. There is no any dependency. In modular programming is the process of subdividing a computer program into what? Separate sub programs. A module is a separate software component. Okay, is divided into what? Logical independent small sections which can be written what? Separately. These sections being separate and independent units are called modules. These modular programming specially used in what? High level programming languages like Java, Python. There more modular concepts are going to be implemented, especially in what? Object oriented programming concept. But in C language, up to the extent of what? Functions are used, and a structured code. Okay, so these three about what? Structural programming concept. So next, what is non-structured programming? Non-structured programming is the historically earliest programming paradigm capable of creating, Turing complete algorithms. See, it is often contrasted with the structured programming paradigm, in particular with the use of unstructured control flow using what go-to statements or equivalent statement. See, in unstructured or non-structured programming, there more usage of what go-to statements. Completely that code is depend upon what go-to statements. The distinction was particularly stressed by the publication of what influential go-to statement considered what harmful. In 1968, what these Dutch computer scientists like Escher, like Dijkstra, who coined the term structured programming. Unstructured programming has been what heavy criticized for producing hardly readable. Like they used what spaghetti code is there in the non-structured programming. They used what type of code? Spaghetti code is going to be used. There are both high and low level programming languages that use what non-structured programming. Some languages commonly used non-structured programmings like includes JAWS, Focal, like telecom, assembly languages, MS-DOS batch files, and early versions of like Basic, Fortran, COBOL. These are all early versions. Like later versions are going to be improved with a non structured programming, but early versions are completely depend upon what non-structured programming. But the latest versions of like Basic, Fortran, COBOL, and MUMS are also used what like structured programming concepts. Don't confuse. Okay, this non-structured programming concepts are going to be looks like this, like input output. The most used word here go to statements. Observe here, completely depend upon what go to statements. So this go to behaves like what unstructured programming, non-structured programming, because the control flow is going to be cannot be predicted. It can be moved forward direction, bottom direction, or anywhere in the particular statement of the program. Okay, for to overcome these problems, okay, structured programming is going to be introduced. See, this is the advantage of what structured programming or non-structured programming. And next, the last concept is about what programming processes. See, we already discussed about the programming process and program development life cycle, PDLC, right, in the previous video sessions. Programming development life cycle, PDLC, also explained. They are explained in detail about problem analysis phases, program design phases, coding phases, testing and debugging phases, document and maintain phases. Remember, when you want to develop a particular program, first you need to identify the program problem. What exactly that a problem, what kind of solution is required. That complete problem analysis phase is done. After that, we are going to be designing that a program. In the previous video session explained with the algorithms and flow charts about this analysis and designing. After that, we are writing the code in the based on the particular program. After that, testing and debugging is going to be there. And lastly, we are maintaining what documentation and maintenance phase of particular program. What are the steps involved? All these we generally we can call it is program development life cycle, from where to where, from how to start and how to end a particular problem solution using the programming. See, that is done by what programming process. The what are the steps for designing the program, like clarifying the program needs, design the program, code the program, test the program, document and maintain it. Program operations like understanding the problem to be solved, think and design the solution logic, write the program in the chosen programming particular languages, translate the program to what machine code. Several language translators are there. We are not required to translate every time, like from the high level languages like compilers, interpreters. In the middle or low level languages like assemblers, these language translators are responsible to convert these high level instructions into what machine understandable instructions. And next, test the program with the sample data, put the program into what operations. These are all the steps involved into the general programming processes. Just if you are not followed over the previous video sessions, if you have missed the previous video session, just go through what PDLC, program development lifecycle, explain in detail all these phases. So this is about the today's session. We discussed in detail about the structured programming concepts, like what is structured program, main intention for developing structured programming, for improving the clarity, quality and development time of a computer program. See, generally these structured programming again classified as like can be defined as what top-down analysis, modular programming, and structured code. And also we discuss some elements used in the structured programming like control structures, sequences, selections, iterations, recursions, subroutines, and blocks. This is about top-down analysis, providing a solution of what problem solving and problem analysis like modular programming, structured code. And also we discuss non-structured programming like spaghetti code, right? In the low level languages, in the older versions, they are going to be using about these spaghetti code about in the non-structured programming languages. So in this session I given complete clarification about the structured programming concepts. Okay, the C is also what structured programming language. C is a structured programming language, and C is also top to bottom approach or top down analysis approach, because C also supports about functions concepts. The main problem is going to be divided into sub problems like in the form of what functions topics. We can able to achieve these top down analysis using sub problem, main problem into what sub problems. So in this session we discussed structured programming concepts like top down analysis, modular programming, and structured code. Also we discussed in detail about what programming processes like PDLC, program development life cycle, like how this clarifying the programming needs, design the program, code the program, test the program, and documenting and maintain the program. For clarifying the programming needs like clarifying the desired processing, like double check feasibility of implementing the program, document the analysis, like these are all comes under what clarifying the programming needs. Coming to the designing the program, like determining the program logic through top down approach and modularization using a like hierarchy chart, like design detail using pseudocode and or flowcharts, preferably involving what control structures. Coming to the code the program, select the appropriate high level programming languages like C, C++, Java, .NET, PHP, Python, and so on. At present we are going to be developing the code using what C programming language. Code the program in that language following the particular syntax and semantics very carefully. Remember it, every procedural oriented programming language consists what syntaxes, means some set of rules you must follow it, otherwise you may get what compile time errors. After that we can test the program, already we discussed in the program development life cycle, and document and maintain it, like write user documents, write operator documentations, write programmer documentation, maintain the program. See, this is about what structured programming concepts and what programming processing concepts. Okay, so that's it for today's session. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you all.